Hello girls, guys and non-binary pals, I'm Salmon. Oh my god, my chair is squeaking, I need to buy a new one. Hello girls, guys and non-binary pals, I'm Salmon and this is my channel, Jolly Salmon. I'm a cosplayer from Poland and I make videos about cosplay and sustainable living. Today's video will be about my newest costume, Kiki from Kiki's delivery service. However, before I talk more about my newest costume, I would like to tell you a little bit more about what is happening now in Poland. If you don't want to hear it, skip. A week ago, our top court issued a law that basically bans all abortions. To that day, abortion laws in Poland allowed abortion if you were raped, if the fetus was severely damaged and would likely be dead a week after they were born, or if the life of the person bearing the child was in danger. Now, basically overnight, the top court decided that only if you were raped, you are eligible for abortion. And even this issued by law, abortion is very hard to get. So now Polish people are protesting in the streets. We are fighting in person with COVID safety measurements. We are fighting in our cars, on social media, everywhere, because we want to make our politicians cancel the decision of the top court. We are fighting for not treating women like incubators, like objects. We are fighting for the abortion compromise to be returned to the state it was. Although it wasn't perfect, we want to have it back. So what you can do, in the description I will link some organizations that are accepting donations and also some resources for people who want to help and for people who want to have their own abortion safely and not in their home doing harm to their bodies. Okay, I know I'm usually quite smiley and happy because I'm talking about cosplay, which I love so much, but this is a serious topic and I just had to use my platform to tell you. Okay, let's talk about the costume. Kiki is a cute little anime girl and she is very much my type. I mean, she wears a black dress. As you can see from all of my videos, I've only worn black or black and white. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the movie because the movie made me feel ecstatic. I love the movie because it's so light-hearted. It's a coming-of-age story and I just love it. I wish I could be a little witch flying through the city. It's a great movie to watch with your family, especially with young women who want to be open to life, just like Kiki is. So the first thing I did was plan out the costume. I will make a whole video about planning the costumes. Actually, this video was supposed to be a two-part video with how I plan my costumes and shopping for Kiki, and the second part was supposed to be how I make my costumes with a full tutorial. But they were either too short or too long, so I just made a tutorial. So the first thing I do to plan out my costumes is I write down all of the pieces I will need. For this costume, I didn't want to be overworked, so I just went for the simplest thing I could do. The most noticeable parts of Kiki's outfit are her bow, her dress, her broomstick, of course her cat, but it's not an outfit. Gigi is her friend, not an accessory. And her shoes. She has orange or pinkish or coral shoes. Then I decided if I wanted to make all of these things or if I wanted to buy them. For the bow, I knew I was able to make a new bow because I've already made one in my Pool Party Misfortune video. So I knew I was going to handmade this. I had the red fabric, so I was ready to make it. So the band was just one of those props that have been lying in my drawer and waiting to be used. So I just covered it with some red fabric that I had left over from other projects and I hot glued it because why not? I'm a strong advocate for not using hot glue for any structural pieces or anything that is supposed to look nice, but you can't really see it on my head, so I just hot glued it. And then I hot glued the bow on, which I sewed as follows. First you sew the big rectangle in half, then you flip it, then you sew it together into a loop, and then you make this little band go over it. And because I was using some hot glue and a pen and it wasn't supposed to be visible, I just used some black thread. You can see it. I'm really happy with it, although it's made in like an hour or less. For the broomstick, I bought a pole at a hardware store, but then I was kind of lost because I didn't know how to make the bristles in the broomstick, and then it was a week before the photo shoot, so I just bought another broomstick. I will use the pole for something else, for another costume. Next thing were the shoes. For the shoes I used my friend Vintage. My friend, it's an app. I talked about it here and here. So as you may know, I'm an avid thrift store goer. I love shopping secondhand because I think it's very sustainable and it saves me money, which I don't have much of. So I bought my shoes on Vinted. Here's how you do. I'm sure it works the same way on some international sites. You log into Vinted, you click search, and then you search what you want to buy. So for me it was ballerina, which is the style of flats that Kiki wears. Then you filter it. So I filtered it to be my size and also to be the color I wanted. So her color is like pinkish reddish. Yeah, so I just went for peach, coral and millennial pink. And that's how you search things. I also like to filter the things I'm looking for by price, so that I get the lowest prices first because I'm poor. And that's how I found the flats. And then I write to the seller and ask them if the flats are available and if I can buy it with buyer's protection. And that's how I got these adorable flats. And here they are in a different light. They are actually quite falling apart, as you can see, but some glue and they will be like new. So this cost me like $2.50. Many people ask me if you can have a very cheap costume, and I say yes, you can have a very cheap costume. Very inexpensive, because cheap means that the quality is low, right? English natives, tell me, just tell me. So I had the broomstick and the shoes ready, because there's nothing easier than buying what you need. But how do I sew a dress? So I chose the dress from a pattern book from Burda. Burda is a magazine from Germany that makes patterns, and I just love it. For me, sewing is very difficult because I don't know how patterns should work. Like, I know some basics, but I get lost easily. I am not very good at details, so my sewing becomes kinda wonky. Even when I sewed Kiki, one of the sleeves pops open because I made it a little bit too high and it doesn't contain my bicep. But the other one is okay, so I don't know. So Burda is a very good resource, or McCall's or Yaya hand patterns. They are a very good resource for any cosplayer who doesn't know how to sew. So I just flipped through all of my Burdas and I found a dress that looked like what I wanted to make. I bought black fabric. I knew I needed some snaps or buttons, And I also modified it a bit so it wouldn't have a very large v-neck, because I didn't want a child wearing a really big v-neck, and I didn't want the bow on the neck. So I made it a boat neck and it worked just fine. Did I iron the fabric? You should be ironing your fabrics before you cut it, but I don't know if I did that, so you see. The first thing you need to do with commercial patterns is checking your measurements. So I checked if I would be able to fit in the L one, and I wasn't, so I made the extra large one and it fits perfectly. So then you're basically playing a pirate in this game. You have a treasure map and you find the pieces and you trace them. That's where my pile of papers comes in handy. So I talked a bit about it in the Eco Cosplayer video, and I used it to trace the pattern, because the pattern map in this magazine is two-sided. Normally I would just cut out the pattern because I'm lazy, and I traced it and I marked it and it took me forever, but when I finally did, then I transferred it to fabric. I cut it out. So the first seams you sew are the side seams. The side seams are on the sides of the dress. They are very long, but they are very easy to sew. Then you want to sew this little flap that goes inside of the loop in the sleeve, because it needs to be covered, because you don't want any of the edges to fray. After you're done sewing that, you sew together the sleeve, so it's a loop, and then you sew, how's it called? Cuffs. The cuffs of the sleeves. And then you can add some buttons. I added some snaps at the end of my journey with this dress because I didn't know if snaps or buttons were my way. And then you sew the sleeves to the dress. The hardest part were the pleats. God, I hate those pleats. I will just show you. So it makes this huge neck hole. So you have to gather the sleeves, and it is marked on the pattern. But I was stupid and I didn't transfer it correctly. So my mom helped me. She gathered it for me. I love you, Mom. And then I hemmed the rest of the skirt, so like the collar and the ending hem. And the dress was done. I was very happy with it. I am still very happy with it. Now I only need to secure the edges inside of the dress that haven't been secured because I don't have an overlock, and I can wear it on a day-to-day basis. And I also have to like make the bicep not rip up my sleeve. So I'm looking there because my cosplay closet is there. You see? My cosplay closet. It's very small, but I live with what I have. And I used a second-hand wig that I bought for another character. Who did I buy it for? I think I bought it with the intention to make Yuri from Yuri on Ice, Yuri Katsuki, but it wasn't suitable, so I made Bruno Bucciarati from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and now I used it for Kiki. I didn't change it from when I did Bruno because I wanted the wig to still be usable for Bruno and for Kiki too. So now, for the 24-hour part. I wanted to make this costume very quickly. I did want to, but I am a massive procrastinator. So my costumes never actually make it in the time frame I planned them. So this costume took me around a week, but if you sum up the hours it took me, I'm sure it's gonna be 24 or 26 hours. So it's possible to make this in one day. Of course, the cost and time of making this costume would be different if I made the bag or the radio, or if I made the broomstick all by myself. So it's an easy Halloween costume idea you can make in 24 hours, just in time for tomorrow's Halloween. So I'm sure that if you're not a procrastinator like me, you can make your own costume starting tomorrow morning and finishing tomorrow afternoon, just in time for some photos and earning electronic candy, maybe, because of the virus we are not supposed to go outside. So be creative, maybe host a Zoom party with your friends, and I'm sure you can even cosplay Kiki with some clothes from your closet. You can make it with a simple black dress. This costume was a wonderful one for me because it helped me get out of my hiatus and actually make something, because I've been struggling a lot with being creative lately. What is your easy cosplay idea for tomorrow? Are you excited for Halloween? Are you going to dress up? Are you going to do some scary makeup? I hope you're having a wonderful Halloween, and for my Polish people out there, especially the ones with uteruses, I stand with you. You're important, you're valid, and one day we will wake up in Poland that we really want to live in, and not the shithole that it is. See you next time. Bye!